Hello everyone. Today I am going to describe my IIM Shillong interview. To give some context, I was a final year BTech Computer Science and Engineering student when I gave this interview. This was last year, that is February 2021. I participated in some swimming competitions back in 9th standard and also had done some volunteering work through my college society. And I was asked questions about swimming, self knowledge, general knowledge, and computer science and engineering. My interview started with the panel checking my documents and making sure I had proof for all the points I had listed in the admissions form. So, after we came across my swimming achievements, the interviewers started asking me more questions about them. The first question that I was asked was, which is the toughest stroke in swimming and why? Then I was asked which stroke I preferred during my competitions and why. Then they asked me who had inspired me the most while I was doing competitive swimming. So, it is quite possible to get these types of questions about your hobbies. If you mention that you like reading, you can be asked to describe the last novel you read, who your favorite author is, and which genre you like and why. Next, the interviewers asked me about my long term goals and how they might align with doing a PGP, that is, Postgraduate Program in Management, from IIM Shillong. After this, they asked me about my volunteering experience and at which NGO I had done the volunteering. They also asked me about the IEEE proposal writing competition that I had won just a few weeks back. In these types of questions, it is important to highlight all your strengths and what you gained from that experience. Be prepared for these types of questions by writing them down and editing them as you give more mocks and real interviews. Also, practice saying them out loud so that the answers seem coherent. So, there might be cases in which you have written a very wonderful answer, but it doesn't seem a good answer when you start speaking it out loud. So, it is important to dynamically change your answer and practice how you will speak it during the interview. Now, back to my experience. After this, the general knowledge section of the interview started. In this section, I was asked about the history of Indore, my hometown, and Bhopal, the place where I resided during my graduation. Then the interviewers went on to ask me about female freedom fighters, and I had to name some and describe what facts I knew about them. Next, I was asked about the Indian economy in its current state and two major changes that I could point out that had resulted due to the COVID-19 pandemic and what was the government doing to overcome these changes through the new budget that was announced. In this answer, I mentioned the word PSU and was further questioned about what the full form of PSU was and which major PSUs I could name. In the general knowledge section, it is important to know which words you should mention. It is quite possible that the interviewers might ask 2 or 3 more questions related to the answer you have just given. So, if I were to mention the name of a freedom fighter during my explanation of my hometown's history, it was entirely possible that the next question would be about the life of that freedom fighter and maybe some learnings that I could take from them. So, after the general knowledge section was over, the next section was on computer science and engineering. I was asked to define artificial intelligence, machine learning, and what could be considered daily life examples of artificial intelligence. I also mentioned the word neural networks while giving that answer. Hence, the interviewers further inquired what an artificial neural network is, and when the discussion of Turing test came up, they asked me about the Turing machine. Now, connecting the Turing machine to another subject in computer science, I was asked to differentiate between deterministic finite automata and non-deterministic finite automata. As I could not recall this answer, the interviewer asked me about the AVL tree and why it has a comparatively less time complexity. When I used the word binary search in my answer, I was asked to explain binary search as well. So, in questions related to your graduation, you might be asked about a few subjects you hated during your graduation. So, it is important to redirect the interview to a subject or two which you are more comfortable with. It is okay to not know something, but it is not okay to make a blind guess. So, it is better to ask your interviewers if it is okay for you to take a guess on this question, or else you can just say that you do not know the answer to this question and would be more comfortable in answering a question that was related to maybe say data structures. Overall, this interview was a great learning experience for me, and I hope this video will help you with yours too. Thank you for watching.